Hey guys, I hope you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha, as always. And in this video, I want to speak to you guys about creativity and how we kind of have, as creative people or as people in general, we have these superstitions that we kind of deal with, right? I mean, my superstition for the longest time with my creativity was that if I left the place that I was creative in, then I wouldn't be creative anymore. For example, I left Toronto because I wasn't being very creative here. The energy wasn't right for me, perhaps, or I wasn't ready yet, or whatever it was. There's a billion reasons for it. And I left Toronto and I entered the beautiful country of Thailand, and I lived there for a couple of years, and my creativity just zoomed up in a way where I couldn't even believe it. I wrote 7 or 8 novels, and I did a bunch of creative work, and I wondered to myself if it was the fact that I moved to Chiang Mai and to Thailand, to the land of smiles, or was it me? Like, was I being creative, or was it just the country or the place or the city or the energy of the people around me? And so I was extremely worried. I mean, as whenever I had to come back to Toronto to visit my family, even for a few days, I would always be worried that I would lose this creativity that was inside of me and I'd become a non creative person again. Which is really funny to me now that I think about it in hindsight, how foolish obviously that was, and how silly, but how superstitious I was being, and it was just based on fear, right? Because finally, after years and years of not being creative, I was finally creative, right? I mean, I was finally letting myself go. I was finally letting go of that fear and being creative. And I was afraid to lose that, of course. And that was a fear that was guiding me. But of course, I let that fear dictate the countries that I was living or the conditions I was living under, right? Because I was afraid that if I came back to Toronto, that I would not be creative anymore. I wouldn't be able to do any creative work anymore. Interestingly enough, when I did come back to Toronto for a holiday, I would still be doing exactly the same things that I did back home, which is, writing every single morning and doing my meditation practice and doing all that stuff, right? And so I was still writing and I was still being creative. Of course, I had less time here because there's a lot of family obligations and stuff. And so I was being less creative just because of time constraints, but nothing else, right? But in my head, I took it as a sign that I need to go back right away. I need to go back right away because if I don't, then I'm not going to be creative anymore. And then if I lose that part of me, then who am I? All those existential crisis questions came up to me. Recently, as you guys know, I wanted to move back home. I didn't have to. I wanted to move back home because I wanted to be with my family, and I'm lucky enough that I was able to have that chance. I am lucky enough that my parents, allowed me to stay with them for free. And so I'm staying with them right now, taking care of them, just being around them, spending time with them, because I realize because of their heart attacks, because of their illnesses, that I have very little time left with them, perhaps. Perhaps I have a lot of time left with them, perhaps I don't. And so I decided it was time for me to spend a couple of months with them. I don't know how long I'll be here for, but instantly, when I first had that thought, I was worried. I was like, oh my God, what if I lose my creativity? What if I'm not creative anymore? What if I become that person that I was before, that I couldn't write anything, I couldn't create anything. I felt in my head, I was like, I was just a blob. I was just a blob of nothingness. It's just over dramatic nonsense from my hand. But I had that thought. And all of a sudden I realized that I had this thought that I really wanted to share with you. I realized that the creativity that I've been kind of putting out into this world in the last couple of years, has come from within me, has come from very deep within me. And all of a sudden I had this realization. I don't know where this realization came from. Of course, the universe is probably sending me signs or signals of the collective consciousness or my subconscious, because they knew I needed to hear this. But I had this thought that the creativity that I'm putting out in the world isn't coming from outside me. It's not coming from somewhere out there. It's not coming from the country I live in. It's not coming from the city I live in. It's not coming from the people I'm surrounded by. It's not coming from my laptop. It's not coming from the keyboard that I use. It's not coming from the clothes that I wear. It's not coming from any of those superstitious things, but it's coming from within myself. And all creativity, of course, comes from within yourself. It comes because you are in the right state of mind to perhaps be a conduit for the creative ideas that are floating out there. Perhaps you're a good conduit for all the universal ideas that are coming towards you, or the signs or signals. But whatever it is, there is a reason for it, that they chose you specifically, right? Whoever you are, wherever you are. And so I just really wanted to create this video because I wanted you guys to realize that if you have this fear in your head as well, that you need to wear a particular shirt in order to be creative, or you need to live in a particular country, or be in a particular mindset, or whatever it might be, you have to realize that people for eons, for generations, have been writing stories, creating in lots of different ways, lots of beautiful things, being in absolutely different circumstances, having thousands of kids, having 13 or 14 kids, having big families and still being able to write, or being divorced and a single mother and still being able to write or create, having a mental disorder or a mental challenge and still being able to create or write, or whatever it might be. There's a lot of different circumstances. If you go back to the autobiographies of hundreds of creative people, you'll see all of them had different circumstances. They didn't all live in the same place and do the same things and eat the same things, and that's why they were creative. They all had their own lives and their own ways of doing things, and that's how they were able to create the things that they created, right? And so we really need to be careful about putting these boundaries on ourselves. We do that all the time. I know I do that myself as well. And I want you guys to be careful, because nothing out there is causing you to be the person that you are. Nothing out there. So you don't need to purchase anything out there. You don't need to create anything out there, or you don't need to have anything out there in order to be that creative person that you are right now. You are creative as you are right now, as you are in this moment in time. You have nothing to worry about. You have nothing to fear. All you are is right now in this moment in time, right? Don't worry about any of that stuff. And I'm saying it not because I've been able to get over it myself. I have this time around. I know that I don't need to worry about living in a particular country in order to be creative. I can be creative wherever I want, which is a big revelation for me particularly. But I know that perhaps this is just a phase, and I might go through another phase in a few months where I think, oh my God, I have to live in Vietnam in order to be creative, or I have to be married to this person in order to be creative, or I have to make a certain amount of money to be creative. There's so many random resistance ideas that we create in our heads that say, okay, this is what you need to do in order to be creative, and if you don't, you're never going to be creative in your life. And that fear is what's speaking to us. It's not anything else. It's just fear telling us you're only creative because of this, and if you didn't have that, you wouldn't be creative, which is absolutely false, because all of our creativity, it comes from within us. It comes from within, deep within us, and there's nothing that can touch it. It's the calm within the storm. It's deep, so deep within us that nothing, no matter what's going on in the world, no matter what a president comes into order, or what democracy is in place, or whatever it might be, none of that stuff matters. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter what's going on with space travel. It doesn't matter anything like that, right? All you need to worry about is just doing the work every single day, because the creativity is deep within you, and wherever you are, however you present yourself, wherever you come from, you can be creative in this moment. As long as you believe that you want to be creative and you spend the time on it, you will be, right? I know I've spoken about this previously, where I always worry every single day when I do these videos. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to speak about? I don't have anything to speak about. Oh my God, I'm done. The well has run dry. What am I going to do? I won't be able to film any more videos, blah, blah, blah. And every single time I actually sit down and I switch on the webcam, I switch on my microphone, and I sit down, I have this ritual, and I sit and I look at the camera, I look at the webcam feed. All of a sudden, all these ideas pop into my head. I'm like, oh yeah, I could talk about this. Oh, this happened to me yesterday. Yeah, I could talk about that. So I have all these random ideas that come up, and I wonder to myself, why did I ever worry about this? But I do this over and over to myself, over and over and over again. I have so many ideas, not only in my head, but I have a long list of ideas on my notes, and I have hundreds of ideas that are all sitting around in notebooks everywhere. So I don't know why, but I do that every single time. It's because we let fear conquer us, right? There's no real solution to it. It's not like you can say, okay, I'm going to stop doing that. You're not going to ever stop doing it. It's just that you have to realize that it's fear. It's not reality-based. It's nothing real, and you just have to let it go and keep on being creative, right? That's all I do. I sit down every single day, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to have anything to say today. And then I do. And then I think to myself, like, yes, I've conquered today, and that's all I need to worry about. Tomorrow is another day. And I get up tomorrow and I sit down again and I'm like, oh my God, I have nothing to say. And an idea pops up and then I speak about it. And then, I've conquered another day. And then I forget about it. And then the next day. And so this is how I repeat this process. Okay. Again, I hope this makes sense to you guys. I just really wanted to share this with you because it was such a revelation for me that I thought that it might help a few of you out there. If you guys have any questions at all, please message me anytime. If you guys have any suggestions for future videos, if you have anything that you want me to speak about, let me know. A bunch of you actually asked me if I can do a live stream because that'd be interesting to, have live question and answer sessions or conversation sessions. I thought it was a really good idea, but I really don't know what time to choose. So if you guys watch this video until the end of it, let me know what time suits you guys best. I'll do a live stream for sure. I think it's a great idea. But I'm thinking about the timing and stuff, and then I'll post it on my profile in YouTube so that you know when is the live feed or live stream. Okay. Again, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.